Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. The last time this happened with AMC stock, the stock ended up rallying 170% from the lows to the peak. We are still pretty much at those lows, so yes, that could mean a big gain is to come, and we're going to talk about all of this information, give you guys the overall rundown on why I think this could be similar, if not even bigger of a move. So we're gonna get into all of this key information. The only thing that I ask is you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys find value out of the video, and if you guys want all of my AMC trades as well as macro trades, playing different strategies, link down below in the description of this video for the trading community. Also get yourself those free stocks with Webull, Moomoo, and Public. So what I'm talking about, guys, is yes, portfolio rebalancing, but what happened in Q1 portfolio rebalancing? And I kind of want to go over what is similar and what is different now compared to then. So if we actually look, and this is where the 170% rally actually comes into effect. If you look at the lows we were at back here around March 15th, we were trading at about $12.88 per share. Draw that all the way up to the highs at about $34 per share. You're up over 160% from the lows. So call it 170%, 160%, whatever, word you want to put on it. It's still a big gain. And what actually caused this move? Well, it was a lot of smaller moves, 10-15% moves once we got to $20, and then we seen a 45% day that really pushed us up to those extreme levels. And then that next day was the weird gap up, and then that weird halt, and then you guys know the rest is history from there. But what actually caused this move was portfolio rebalancing, yes, for Q1, because what had happened was the stock got beaten into the ground from December, going from, the $30 range all the way down to $12. Investors were like, hey, we should probably buy ourselves some AMC, or at least de-risk the current short positions that they had by going out and buying stock or buying calls, which did help to push the stock up to incredible levels. Now, the one thing I really want to point out is the lows we hit before we started to rally, because we hit a low and then we did come up and we ended up actually breaking out of the 50-day moving average. Girlfriend's the best, just brought me coffee as I'm making a video. Great. But we broke out of the 50-day moving average with a strong green day, kind of what we're seeing right now. That's where you started to get the bigger moves to the upside. That's where you started to see the 15, the 13% days, even some neutral days after that, and then you got that 45% day. So we broke out above the 50-day moving average, which is the same thing as we seen last time, after we were already sitting at a previous low, after the stock had pretty much been bouncing back and forth, being range bound. And it's playing out exactly the same in that regard. Well, what is different then? If the charts look the same, what is different? There's one thing that really sticks out to me, and there's a couple things, but there's one thing in particular about the market, the landscape that we are in, that sticks out. Obviously, interest rates are going higher, 10-year treasuries are going higher, the Fed is raising rates, we have concerns about a recession, which is a good and bad thing for AMC. It's bad because just overall market sentiment is not going to be good when we're talking about a recession potentially coming as early as June 28th, but certain sectors of the economy will be in a much better situation to handle a potential recession. People are switching. They're not spending money as much on goods. They are really switching to spending money on services. And AMC stock could get a boost just because of, hey, if there's one place to park your money, where are you going to park it? Well, I wouldn't bet against the American culture, or just call it us, to say that we're not going to go out and do things after everything's been shut down for 2 years, right? So markets, they kind of get that. That is very different. But at the same time, AMC as a business has been improving, and you're sitting at a valuation that's only about a 1 price to sales ratio. So when you look at this, during your portfolio rebalancing, if you are a hedge fund, you're going to say, hey, I don't think it makes sense to be short on AMC stock. Now, some things that stick out to me as far as the actual data is concerned is, one, we have a much higher short interest now than we did back then. We only had about a 17% short interest, give or take, when that last rally happened for Q1 rebalancing. We now have a 22.5% short interest of free float. Free float out on loan sitting at almost 37%. Shares out on loan 190 million. Days to cover sitting at 3.82. Cost to borrow at 15.55 and 100% share utilization. Cost to borrow max obviously much higher as well at 34.08%. Cost to borrow average at 19.58%. Cost to borrow minimum at 16.68%. So the data here just looks a lot better on paper, right? And you have seen a lot of negative option activity until today. A lot of that bullish option activity has actually started to come into play. A lot of August 19th expirations, some July 1st expirations. You guys can see all the calls here on the chain. Some of these, some very large positions worth 114,000, 72,000, 45,000, 27,000, 27,000, 45,000, $182,000. Some very large option orders that are coming through. But overall, you've been hit with so much negativity. It does not take a lot of, call options, a lot of buying to actually see the stock go up in a big way. And I think that is part and part what you are seeing right now. You are seeing 6 orders for the day, $565,28,000, positive order value of 66%. So it's not like a day where you're seeing 25 million in call options coming through and you're getting a 12% rally. No, you're seeing $500,000 worth of call options coming through. That is helping to boost the stock up 12.5%, almost 13% so far for the day. So I think that is very exciting. We get more call buyers, some more option, buyers coming in, some more bullish directional activity. Then you're going to see a bigger move than not to the upside. Now, at the same time, the biggest difference, the biggest difference, if you want to point out one difference, it's going to be the option activity. Yes, in March, we did have a large option expiration, but not this large. So we're looking at about 45,000 calls that are currently in the money for July 15th, and about 411,000 calls that are still out of the money. 411,000 calls that are still out of the money. That is absolutely ridiculous. On the put side, you're seeing about 81,000 puts that are currently in the money. And as you guys do know, puts work the same way as calls going into the money. When the price of AMC goes up, calls go into the money. That is buying pressure. But at the same time, puts go out of the money, and that is buying pressure from the market makers as well, as they do want to stay delta neutral and reduce their hedging for those puts, which means they go out and buy stock. So that helps us as well, having so many puts that are currently in the money. But even for this week, you have about 30,000 calls that are in the money, 50,000 calls that are out of the money. For next week, about 8,000 calls that are currently in the money and about 20,000 calls that are out of the money. But these next 3 weeks are going to really work in our advantage. For July 15th, you don't necessarily need to see a gamma squeeze that week. You could actually see it over the next, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now. Really, over the next 3 weeks or so, we are primed to see a gamma squeeze in a big way. And that's kind of what we're seeing today. Even from the last video we made earlier today, you're seeing over 10,000 calls or puts that were in the money that are no longer in the money just in a couple hours span. Same thing on the call side. You're seeing about 15,000 more calls that did run into the money today for that July 15th expiration. So I do think we have a lot more potential fuel on the fire to see a bigger rally than not. And AMC is really a standout today. AMC is really one of one. You're not seeing a lot of other quote unquote retail or meme stocks that are making the same kind of rally. A 13% rally so far is really incredible when you boil it down. And I do think the technicals really support this rally as well. We've stayed really, really flat even when the markets were falling into new lows. That's not what AMC stock was doing, right? As the markets fell during this whole period, really from about June 8th all the way down to the lows we did hit of about June 17th. AMC stock from June 8th to June 17th was literally doing nothing. Like nothing. We were flat this whole time, just like we were last time before Q1 rebalancing. And I do think Q2 rebalancing is going to bring some very, very nice, sweet tendies for all of the AMC holders. And my price prediction is in between $16 and $20 per share by the end of this week. And I think it could play out along the same lines as what happened back here. We broke out above the 50-day moving average, went up, came up to about $20 per share, ended up just holding this level until Friday. And you guys can see this was March 25th. This was a Friday. And then we did open on Monday, March 28th, and we ended up going up about 45%. But once we broke out the 50-day moving average, you pretty much went straight to $20, held some resistance around there, and then got that final breakthrough, breaking out above the 100-day moving average, and then ultimately the next day after breaking out above the 200-day moving average. So I think it could play out along the same lines. 200-day moving average up here at about $25 per share. So I do think there is a really good trade to be made here, especially by the end of the day. AMC can remain above the 50-day moving average. I don't see it falling back down under that, and I think that will be a solid level of support nonetheless, even if tomorrow is a red day. But this is the breakout of the range that we have been waiting for a while now, and finally above that 50-day moving average. AMC stock above 13% positive for the day as we currently speak. Now, as far as economic data, things you guys need to know coming out for tomorrow, well, it's really nothing that comes out tomorrow that's going to move the markets in a big way. You do have the S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index, which does come out tomorrow at about 8 o'clock in the morning. It's not going to move the stock market. It's really a real estate data point. But then you do have PCE prices, PCE data that does come out on Wednesday. That's going to be a bigger event. That comes out at 9:30 in the morning. And then on Thursday and Friday, that's going to be your real potential to see some downside pressure. 7:30 in the morning, personal income month over month, personal spending month over month, 7:30 in the morning, PCE price index month over month, and year over year does come out 7:30 in the morning as well on Thursday. And then on Friday, you do have ISM manufacturing PMI, and that's probably going to be the biggest catalyst of this week. For after hours today, another important point to point out, you do have Nike earnings, which could drive the markets one way or the other just because of how Nike's business is, right? You're going to get the inflation side of things. How is inflation hurting Nike? How are their inventories? Are things still flying off the shelves, or are they starting to reduce prices on their products? Throughout the last 2 years, Nike has bragged that they have not had to reduce prices on anything because people have continued to pay higher and higher prices. So you're going to get that consumer demand aspect through Nike earnings. How healthy is the consumer? And then you're also going to get that inflation, glimpse into how their inflation is working for them as well. So that is pretty much going to be all for this video. If you guys found value out of it, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. If you guys want to get access to all of my trades on AMC and any other trade we make, link down below in the description or in the pinned comment as well. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.